Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott. I'm the founder of Easty Marketing Group. I provide digital marketing in the form of search engine optimization, paid advertising, answer engine optimization, digital PR, and a few other digital resources. But today's video, I wanted to focus on a couple of important questions as they relate to search engine optimization. One of the goals for my career has always been to make something that's incredibly complicated feel incredibly easy. So I wanted to take a little bit of time today and just answer some of the top questions that are asked in Google about search engine optimization. The first one is this. What are SEO keywords? This search term gets about 3,200 searches on a monthly basis. And so as we think about keywords and how people define search engine optimization, the function of Google is for people to go to Google and to type in things that they are looking for an answer in regards to. Oftentimes people will abbreviate their search, or they'll search, one or two words that are associated with a deeper intent is the term that we use in the industry. So if I go to Google and I type in something like shoes, I could be looking for a couple of different things. I could be looking for images. I could be looking for a blog about, the latest styles of shoes. I could be looking for shoes in general to purchase. That's probably the higher intent. So running a search like that and seeing what Google presents to the user helps us better understand what the intent is behind that specific search term. So shoes would be a keyword if you wanted to compete against, let's say Dick's Sporting Goods or a couple of other like really high profile shoe commerce stores or websites. But if you were looking for something a little bit more specific, like black running shoes for wide feet, now I'm narrowing my search down even further to allow me to find exactly what I'm looking for, hopefully with the initial search there. So as you think about keywords, you can define a keyword however it's appropriate for your business. I typically define keywords for my clients as terms that get, substantial search volume, as terms that are relevant to their business, and as terms as they typically have an opportunity to ultimately go and rank for. A lot of my companies that I work with are local businesses, so assigning a geography to those terms also can go a layer deeper, lower the competition, and increase the opportunity for that keyword to drive the ROI and the sales that they're ultimately looking for. So what is a keyword? It is a term that you would use to define how you want people to find you in a search engine. That is what a keyword is to you and your business. The next question that I have right here gets searched about 2,000 times in Google on a monthly basis. And the question is, how often should you do an SEO audit? So first, let's define what an SEO audit is. It falls into a couple of different buckets. The first one is, how well is my site performing today? The second one is, how well do I stack up against my competition? And the third would be, what is the technical makeup of my website in terms of how Google can actually crawl and interpret my website? Now, some people might add and layer in a handful of additional concepts, but those are the three general buckets. So if we think about it from the context of one, in a silo, how does my website perform today? Typically what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to look at the existing profile of your website, either in your tools like Google Analytics, Google Search Console, or we're going to use a third-party tool like a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs or a handful of these other tools that are out there to see what terms do you rank for, what terms are you generating some traffic for, and how much authority does your website have? Those are the major elements that define your performance audit. So you might be looking at a performance audit from an SEO perspective. How well do I show up in Google? The second thing would be a competitive audit. So I know I show up in Google, but how do I compare to the other people that I'm going up against? So the way that we're going to do something along these lines is we're going to take, let's say maybe your top 10, 15, 20 keywords, or we can just run kind of a competitor audit gap to kind of take a look at all of the terms, on a board and see who do I show up, in a search with on a consistent basis. Who are the ones that are outranking me? Who has more authority than me in my local market or within kind of this pool of competitors that I've ultimately created? And really, how do I kind of bridge the gap from where I am to where they are? I've had a lot of companies that I've talked to that are maybe the top tier of that category. They're already outperforming everybody else in the category. But more often than not, I'll talk to companies that fall into the lower end of the bucket, maybe lower mid, kind of mid status of that bucket, and they're looking to actually catch their competition, level up their performance, and get to a place where they can kind of realistically compete for some of these priority keywords against the people that they're up against. The last bucket there, obviously, is the technical SEO audit. Now, this one is probably a little bit more of like a direct opportunity that you can run an audit for as frequently as you're building new pages or building a new website out. So what I would encourage you to do is use a tool like Screaming Frog to go and actually look at the technical makeup of the website and piece together what are the technical issues in there that are maybe keeping you from being able to get found in Google for specific terms that you care about that are hindering the holistic, authority of the website. 404 pages, 301 redirects, 302 redirects, broken internal links, low backlinks, URLs that are potentially, too lengthy, just the structure of the site not being kind of clean and understandable from a Google perspective. That technical audit, you can run that as frequently as you'd like to. And the tool that I would typically use to run a technical audit would be either Ahrefs or a tool called Screaming Frog. Now, if you have a larger website, Screaming Frog has a free tool that you can use up to 500 crawled URLs. They may have changed that recently, but if you run that technical audit and your site's relatively small, you can see pretty much the whole kind of landscape and profile, and you can get a good understanding for all of the issues that are found there. If you don't have a small website, then you may have to upgrade to that more premium option. It's, I think, less than $200 for a year license. But in that regard, you could actually check the technical status of your website as frequently as you ultimately wanted to. Oftentimes, it's making the changes and implementing those changes that takes up the majority of the time. So running a technical audit, if it's a competitive audit, if it's a performance audit, competitive audit, or technical audit, realistically, you can do that as frequently as you'd like to. For my clients, usually what I'll do is I'll put together kind of like a performance audit, report on a monthly basis. We can run a competitive audit every quarter, just because SEO is not, and AEO are not very quick moving channels. And then ultimately for technical audit, most of the time when you run one at the beginning of the campaign, if you're not making major changes to a website, or launching a new website, things along those lines, then ultimately you don't need to be running that technical audit too often. Things aren't going to change too frequently, but you can ultimately run one as frequently as you'd like. The last major question that I want to answer is SEO dead? This search term gets about 1,500 hits on a monthly basis. And just to give you some context here, you might be thinking like, oh, we're in the age of AI now, so SEO's dead, it's AEO, it's, yada, yada, yada. This search term has been getting substantial search volume for years. People have been asking this question literally for many, many years, all the way back to 2016. So almost 10 years ago, this was getting, about 600, 500 hits, searches on a monthly basis. The search query is SEO dead. It's an important question to consider. It's important to think through the response and think through the answer as well. SEO stands for search engine optimization. As long as there are search engines in any regard, SEO is not dead. You are always going to need to optimize your database of information in some regard that it can be pulled from, and information can be pulled from your site or from your database into search engines in some capacity, whether that's YouTube, whether that's your own website and getting pulled into ChatGPT and Google. No matter what the platform is that people are going to use, there's always going to need to be basically a way for these platforms to pull from your database of information. And the most logical sense is to have a website that's optimized for these different channels. So search engines may be trending out or evolving in some regard, but search engine optimization is a bigger representation of how a user is using the internet to access data. And that is not going to change. Users are going to go to the internet and they're going to access data in some regard. Now, some might argue that it's becoming a little bit more passive. I go to Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or one of these other channels, and I'm actually getting fed data and information that it knows I care about that's all in video format. So somebody might say, okay, well, how is that beneficial for my website if people are getting fed this information, in sort of a video format? It's a fair point. That's why I think digital marketing needs to go beyond just, building out your website. It needs to go into these channels that you can produce additional information in, understanding, again, trending topics. It's exactly why I'm doing this video. These are questions that people are looking for answers for. So making sure that you understand that search engine optimization is a function of the concept of people going to the internet and searching for information, and then figuring out what are the channels that I ultimately want my information to be pulled into, and what is the conduit of how I deploy that information. Is it in video format? Is it in my website? Is it in Reddit or ultimately another channel that I want to optimize? Now, to take it a step further, Search engine optimization, I don't think is dead in any regards. People are still using Google to find businesses and to find places that they're trying to navigate to find information about businesses that they want to do business with. About 90% of people are going to your website and validating that you're the type of business they want to work with before they even call you now. So they're more informed than they've ever been. They're having conversations in ChatGPT about your business, which is a nice segue into what's not dead is answer engine optimization, AEO. And this topic of answer engine optimization is the process of optimizing your database of information, similar to your website with SEO, optimizing your database of information and your holistic marketing kind of brand persona, individual persona around what ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, whatever these channels are that you want to be pulled into, optimizing that content so that these different channels can pull it in a meaningful way. Now, some of the best ways to optimize for answer engines are through defining you and your brand, talking about accolades that you've won, giving what's unique about you versus your top competitors in a bite-sized or kind of compartmentalized capacity. So think about building a landing page that compares you to some of the other people in your market, or a web video or YouTube video rather that says, here's what we do, and here's some of the top options that you might also be considering, and here's how we differentiate ourselves from them. So leaning into what these different channels are looking for to allow yourself to have a higher level of visibility is crucial. So optimizing for answer engines is still very, very important. Now, fortunately enough, optimizing for answer engines is very similar to optimizing for search engines. So one of the biggest ways that we help our businesses get found in AI is by creating different elements inside their content that encourage comparison, that encourage definition and really identity of their brand, identity of their services, and then packaging it in a way that we know answer engines are able to basically process and deploy in their responses at a higher regard. So we do some literal mechanical things to the content to make sure that we're getting pulled in by ChatGPT more, and all the other answer engines. Another layer to that is making sure that you expound upon the information that's on your web page. So answer engine optimization, very much alive. AEO, SEO, search engine optimization, I also believe is very much alive. It's harder now than it's ever been, but it is alive. If you can get in the top 2 to 3 spots for the primary keywords that you care about, you're going to see some really, really exciting stuff. So those are the 3 big questions that I wanted to answer today. Again, my name is Scott. I'm the founder of Easty Marketing Group. I'm an expert in search engine optimization and marketing consulting, and would love to talk to you a little bit further if you have any additional questions. But in the meantime, would love a subscribe from you. I'm hopefully going to be dropping a lot more content and information here on this channel to help you understand what's going on in the world of SEO and AEO and how you can optimize your business to get found in these search engines at a much higher capacity. So if you have any questions, reach out to me directly at scott@eastymarketinggroup.com. You can go to my website, kind of poke around there a little bit, see what I'm all about. But in the meantime, thank you for swinging by, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next video.